I didn't have anything to do with killing those people. They knew I didn't have anything to do with it. They didn't want to hear it. Charles Manson, 2017. For 50 years, the legendary Manson family murders have fascinated and mortified all. Few could fathom that such brutal acts of cold-blooded murder could have taken place in the first place, and let alone that women played a key role. Manson was an enigmatic drifter who drew a group of people into his web of deceit and evil that eventually led to the brutal Tate and then LaBianca murders. The prosecution would go on to spin what was considered the de facto theory behind the murder spree. The jury and the world bought into the helter-skelter racial war conspiracy based on the Beatles' White Album. Now, for the first time, documentary film producer, director, and author JamesBuddyday takes readers through a more rational and believable set of reasons for the murders. Day was the last person and author to have interviewed Charles Manson. The reader will be intrigued by Manson's perspective on how the prosecution convicted him for murder when he was 40 miles away when the Tate murders took place. For those that are intrigued by the 60s hippie culture and the most sensational murder spree in history, will find the book a compelling and thought-provoking read. The LAPD wasn't even close to finding out who killed Sharon Tate and the others when it ultimately was solved through a conversation in jail between one of the killers and a prostitute. The tale that Vincent Buglioso then wove was a narrative that he had planned from the beginning, and it calls into question his objectivity for the facts of the case. It highlights what ambitions over facts have done for 60 years of American frontier justice, as many have been incarcerated and put to death by those that would alter the facts, induce confessions, or plant evidence to get a conviction on innocent people. Today, after 50 years, Bobby Beausoleil, the convicted murderer of Gary Hinman, the first murder, remains in jail after being granted parole. He had nothing to do with the infamous murders, but yet he continues to pay a huge price for his association with the Manson family. There's no question that Manson and the others were involved with brutal acts of violence and murder, and they deserve to be incarcerated for those crimes. The governor of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, continues the hypocrisy of the American justice system based on time served. Bobby rightfully should have been granted parole 20 years ago, but today remains one of the longest-serving inmates in the American penitentiary system. Had Bugliosi done his job effectively, rather than grandstanding for his own wealth and stature, we might have long forgotten Manson and the murders, as highlighted by the assistant DA on the case and highlighted in this book. Was true justice done for the victims and their friends and family by making this the most sensational murder spree of all time? It begs the question. Charlie's familiar voice came on the line. "Yeah, listen, I'm already around the world. I tricked Vincent Bugliosi in that courtroom. I let him convict me for something I didn't do." "Why did you do that?" I asked. "I'd never grown up in that world," Charlie said, beginning a rhythmic freestyle as if he was a beat poet riffing at a coffeehouse, not someone calling from a communal phone in the hallway of a supermax prison. "I live in rock and roll. I live in the penitentiary. I live in the chain gangs. I live in the Southland. I live in the graveyards. I live in the tomb. Do you realize they're torturing people even today?" He now lives on in infamy, but let's hope this book provides the perspective for dialogue and debate about the reasons why those innocent lives were taken in the summer of '69. Dean Baxendale, publisher.